Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats with GourmetQuilter. We're doing a series of all sorts of things this year. There's lots of things happening through the website gourmetquilter.com. At the moment we're working on some appliques. We're doing some in the kitchen applique. You can see that there's lots of nice things in this kitchen. So these are what we're doing. We're up to applique number 13 out of 20 this time. And so if you've already signed up to receive the pattern, you'll have a pattern that you can just trace everything from, ready to go. And so what I'm doing here, we're doing this wonderful hanging rack of utensils, all with colour-coded handles with their little knobs that they hang from, all colour matching, I don't know. So I've positioned everything, I haven't ironed anything yet. So when we put the little dots on the piece, we can mark where the dots go so that we've got something to line ourselves up with. It just helps if there's a few little things to help us, and then we just know that we're putting the same colour. Well, that's because that's in my make-believe kitchen. They match with their little hooks. So that's looking pretty fun. So we've got the utensils, I've got most of them in place, so they mostly just sit under the little handles. There's just one here that's a whisk that really is just going to be done in stitching lines. So to mark those, I'm going to go to the light box. I'm going to position my page underneath and turn my light box on when I find the button. And just lay this over the top. You may find that if you're working on white like I am, you may not even need the light box. However, I'm going to use it today. And so that whisk is coming out from my yellow handle here. And I can see it very clearly there, so I just need to just draw it on very lightly because I'm going to stitch it, and I might not stitch my drawn line exactly. But it will help me to have something there to follow. So I've just got a pencil here. You could use a washout marker if you prefer to. But as I'm using a grey thread anyway, the grey pencil probably will just disappear in. So if you don't have a light box, you might have a window or a glass top table that you can sit a light under, or you may not even need one if you've got a white background, as I said. So and the other thing is that there's little hanging loops, because all the utensils are actually hanging. So if you wanted to, you could mark those. Now the loop is going to come from under the coloured knob, so not necessarily, you wouldn't see the whole of the loop, so it will just come. And if you want to mark them in, that's always a good thing, then you don't forget to sew them. So these little things all help us make things look as realistic as possible, even though it's obviously a very stylized image. So I've got everything there. I've got my whisk marked, I've got my little ladle. We've done a ladle similar to that before. Got my wooden spoon. Oh, I'm excited. I just want this utensil rack in my kitchen. So I'm going to iron everything in place now. And I'm using free motion stitching for the applique, so I'm just going to pop a piece of lightweight batting behind as my stabilizer. And I just like to iron that because it just grips. It's not fusible, but it's grippy. And then I can get this ironing mat and iron out of the way. And I can go to the sewing machine and free motion stitch. So I think I'll do the whisks because that's probably the most nerve-wracking to be stitching. So I might just get started. So I've got free motion foot on, I've dropped my feed teeth out the way, and I'm just going to start just down here, and then I'll do those little whisk prongs, and I'll go over them a couple of times so that they just stand out nicely. So I'm here and I'm just going to come around. So it's really not any different to doing some applique, except that we're just on the background. And it definitely will help to have some sort of stabilizer when you're doing stitching just on a single layer of fabric. I'm just going to come back round that again just to make it a little bit more definite. could use a heavier thread if you didn't want to go around twice. Or a single thread may just be enough. Come back up there. And down the other one. So if you just take your time, you could turn it around rather than go backwards like I'm going, because it's a small enough piece of work that you can do that with. And now I've done my whisk already. It wasn't so hard. Now I can go onto the handle. And I could do the hanging loop now, but I think I'll do that later when I do the actual knobs on the little rack above. And I've already done the whisk, which is probably the one that's the most scary there, but in actual fact it's not so hard to do at all. So I'll go ahead and keep doing some stitching, and when I do something else that I think is a little bit interesting, because most of this is fairly straightforward now going around the outlines, when I come to do this rack and the loops I'll show you how I'm doing that. So I've been busy doing all my stitching. I've just got one more knob and loop to go. I've done all the handles, I've done my spatula and my wooden spoon, my fork. Oh, so much fun. So to do these knobs, so I've actually already done the back hanging board as well, and these are like little knobs which these little loops can sit over. So I've just been starting at the top of the handle where the string or whatever it is that's hanging out of there would start from, and coming up and just going straight onto and all the way around the little knob, and then back down that line again just to give that extra density, and the same thing coming up the other side and then back down again. So the string should look like it's coming from behind the little coloured knob because it's looped over. And so that's the last of the applique on that one. I'll just give that a quick press. And it's all looking pretty impressive, I think. Oh, I just want to go out and get me a new kitchen now. So that was my little hanging rack of utensils, and that was applique number 13. So that can come up here. So that's the end of the second row out of the ones that we're doing. So we've still got a few more to go though. So I will see you again with applique number 14 in the kitchen.